This is Unit 3, Lesson 3, so we'll be doing rotations on the coordinate plane, again a review from 8th grade. So this video will cover the vocabulary cards that you need to create with an explanation. So again, for each term below, please create a vocabulary term, a card for that with the definition, examples, diagram. If you can put one on there would be great, because again, when you look back at these, a diagram might be more helpful than all the words that are written on it. So our first term is orientation, which is the ordering of the lettering on the outside of the figure or of the vertices. Dilations, rotations, translations all preserve orientation. The only one that does not is reflection, which we did yesterday. So what does that mean? How could you determine whether orientation was preserved or not? So you pick a point to start at. So if I look at the example of reflection below, I'm going to go clockwise from each point. A to B, B to C. So the order is A, B, C. If I start at the other point on the image, I go from A prime to C prime to B prime. A prime, C prime, B prime. Notice that the order of corresponding parts is not the same. All right, well, let's look at one that does preserve orientation. So again, if I start at B and I go clockwise to C to A, so we have B, C, A. And if I again start at the same point, going in the same direction, clockwise, you can go counterclockwise too, I'm just going clockwise here, B prime, C prime, A prime, B prime, C prime, A prime. Notice that they're in the same order. So that means that orientation was preserved or kept. That's all we mean by that. And again, the only one that does not preserve orientation is a reflection. So if you're ever trying to decide between whether something was reflected or rotated, you can check the orientation. So today's lesson is going to focus on rotations on the coordinate plane. We will then move off of the coordinate plane. However, a rotation is a rigid motion, meaning it produces congruent figures between the pre-image and image, of a figure turned about a fixed point called the center of rotation. So on the coordinate plane, we use the capital R, and then subscript to that, we indicate the center of rotation, which is a point, and the number of degrees of rotation. Right? So for example, you might see R, little o, comma 90. So this would be a rotation about the origin, 90 degrees. And we'll get into direction after that. Off the coordinate plane, we describe a rotation with the center of rotation and a direction of the turn. If we can tell how much it rotated, usually that will be 90 or 180. Okay, we can't really tell much more than that. Then we would indicate that as well, if we can tell. Sometimes we won't be able to tell how much it was rotated. All right, and the angle of rotation just tells us how much it was rotated. So on the coordinate grid, they consider the positive to be counterclockwise and the negative to be clockwise. And that is it for the vocab.